Hello and welcome back to my channel. On this video, which is going to be part 3B of Teal Swan, Gifted, Child or Psycho, we're going to look at Teal's early behaviours in relation to a criteria that meets histrionic personality disorder. Now this video is going to be a long one, so it's going to be split into two, so I'm not going to do the breakdown on this one. That will be the one that follows. But here I will explain what histrionic personality disorder is. I will show a couple of clips of professionals who deal and diagnose those kind of things. So you can see from their point of view what that diagnosis may look like. I will show some footage of an interview with Teal's former best friend to explain some of Teal's early behaviours, especially in relation to what she claims in the current time. And then we will end there. On the video that follows, I will look at, or I will show some clips of Teal's parents speaking about Teal, which will be taken from Open Shadow, which is Teal's own documentary, which she facilitated being made in the first place. And then we'll draw the conclusions at the end of that one. So this is part 3B. If you've not seen 3A yet, please go and have a look, or have a look after you've seen this. And then draw your own conclusions. I'm not trying to sway you. I'm just trying to, all I'm doing actually showing what I've found. My bias on my belief on to what is being shown is plainly obvious, but you don't have to agree with me. The purpose of this is just, it's curiosity. See who manages to be able to persuade people, why they're able to persuade people, and with what logic they're able to persuade people that certain ways of thinking are better than other ways of thinking, and what that actually potentially does to the person that's being persuaded. So here we go. So histrionic personality disorder are characterized by a certain set of characteristics. These are attention seeking, seduction and sexual provocation, shallow affect emotions, speaking vaguely, that is often with very word salady terms that don't actually come to mean anything because they're very vague and left open to interpretation, easily swayed by others and the environment, and the belief that relationships are closer up and deeper than they are. So the behaviours, and we've gone through the characteristics, these are behaviours, so this is how it actually plays out, are highly dramatic, excitable and impulsive. Childhood trauma can be linked to HPD. So everything feels more intense to them, or certainly they behave as if everything's more intense in their experience than is actually factual. So obviously this is subjective. This is why we leave it open to professional people to actually diagnose. But there's no harm in looking for ourselves and seeing what we think, so that we can make judgments over whether we want the content of people like Teal Swan in our lives. So in my last video, I did conclude that Teal Swan didn't meet a criteria for a gifted child, because the only thing that she really matched in that spectrum was imagination. She definitely has an imagination, that is for sure. But let's go look across and look at the videos that I've clipped into this to see what the professionals say about HPD.
Histrionic personality disorder is marked by excessive attention seeking and excessive yet shallow emotionality. Relationally, this manifests as pathological flirtation, dramatization, and endless demands for attention. While they solicit for compliments, there's never going to be enough compliments for them to satisfy. They may abandon relational commitments if someone new offers excitement or novelty. Relationships are shallow, dramatic, and unstable. Partners often feel like an audience rather than an equal. From a dimensional perspective, histrionic personality disorder reflects enduring attention-seeking and emotionality. These are not occasional behaviors. They are consistent strategies across time. But
it's a cluster B condition. So in the ICD, it's referred to as histrionic personality disorder directly. And the defining traits are pervasive attention seeking, excessive emotionality, and is a style of behavior that feels incredibly shallow.
Right.
And theatrical and manipulative to other people. So the person is uncomfortable when they're not the center of attention. And they're going to use things like physical appearance, flirtation, and exaggerated emotion to draw focus to them.
Right.
We've learned that histrionic personality disorder is characterized by a number of behaviors, and these behaviors are rooted in genetics and environment. To get a professional view on this, I do recommend looking up Dr. Peter Solano, the Psychology of Behavior podcast, the two that I've just shown you, Paul and Helen, the LA Not So Confidential podcast to listen to forensic psychology experts on personality issues, and the books that I recommend are Character Disturbance by George K. Simon, Without Conscience by Robert Hare, and Cruelty by Nature by Dr. Peter Solano. What I've learned over my time in reading and experiencing these things is, first of all, the environment facilitates behavior traits. Genetics are character traits. So a lot of people would say, trauma leads to these kind of behaviors. It doesn't ordinarily. It can bring out these behaviors in certain people, but they're not the part of their character. It's not all the time. It's not pervasive. It's not pathological. Whereas genetics is the thing that makes it pathological. So character traits are relatable. So it's how one relates and sees others. Environment facilitates reactionary responses. And these can be uncharacteristic of a baseline. So the character is who you are. The behavior is driven by the environment. Not all hurt people hurt people. And not all adverse environments build that kind of character. It might just bring out some of those traits, which is why, as I understand it, professionals look for pervasive pattern of behavior over time as opposed to one-off incidents and events. So Teal's behaviors first. Highly dramatic. Teal is prone to drama. The history of this, as I can find, stems back to childhood accounts from Diana Rivera Henson, where she describes Teal as introducing her to things like online porn, BDSM, alcohol, stories of sex cults. And it was mainly to get shock value.
To my house and on our computer, we had a better computer than hers. And she's like, you have to see this crazy thing I found, and starts pulling up, Googling bestiality, mortified. That was the one where I was like, I don't think we should do this. Like, this is scary. My mom's going to come home any minute. And her being the Wiccan goddess of sex, early teenage, she really thought she had power over men. All the boys at school, she said, had things for her. And she thought it was laughable how she could get them to be so attracted to her. Just really talked about having a power over men. And she really knew how, at least she talked like she knew how to manipulate men from an early age. And
Sexually,
yes.
Yeah.
I do find that interesting that even though it seems like her intensity, how extreme she was with things like extended beyond sex, it's an interesting data point that she was so hypersexual.
Yeah.
Bring up the pornography stuff. It's really some of the bizarre stories she would talk about. They matched up to some of the darker things she was showing me, the disturbing things, and she almost seemed like she was excited to see like the shock effect it had on people. I mean, on me, just because I was so disturbed by these things. They scared me. I was like, I can't believe these things happen. She's like, oh, you wouldn't believe.
I'd say on the flip side, even on the empathetic, compassionate side, even if she's making it all up,
Yeah,
and was never abused, this
Still
could be
disturbed.
a personality disorder, right? This could be mental illness that she experienced from a very young age.
Mental condition, and she was really almost proud of it at times. Like, we went through, her mom's a school counselor at an alternative high school. They had all the psychology diagnostic books, and we read through those trying to figure out what our diagnosis was for fun and what the symptoms would be of certain ones. So, I mean, she really was into that stuff. But one of the things when I'm watching The Deep End and I'm seeing her mannerisms, her more flat effect when she's talking, all those things were present when she was a child. There wasn't the appropriate emotional response for certain things. When she's talking to me about these horrific things, she's smiling and through trauma. That there's different ways they go about it. But I guess, I mean, everyone processes their trauma differently, but the way she went about it, it felt like she was excited. Really, I mean, she really put a lot on me from such a young age, and I felt like she really almost enjoyed that.
Yeah, will you explain a little bit more about kind of the power dynamic between you two? Again, because there's the age gap, but also she's such a strong, confident child.
Tall.
Yeah, tall, towering over you.
And before, answer that, but right before you do, the personality disorder or two that just immediately come up for me. One is what's called antisocial personality disorder, which is totally a weird name for how I think about what it means. It means a lack of empathy, like not feeling emotionally affected by things that would be troubling or sad to other people. And when you think about, I don't know, I'm not trying to say she's like Jeffrey Dahmer, but when you think about people that can do really horrific things and just not even bat an eye, kind of like Dexter on Showtime, like that's one possibility. Of course, there's borderline personality disorder, which is always testing limits of relationships. It can include self-harm, real difficulty with emotion regulation. I'm not trying to diagnose her, but I'm just saying. And then there's also narcissistic, which is like everything's about me, the world revolves around me. And there can be multiple diagnoses. That's called comorbidity. And then another is histrionic, which is where you like have an overinflated sense for your power or influence or for, you know, the situation or the events that you're involved in. So it could be any of those candidates. Personality, Samantha was asking me about possible diagnoses, or we were talking about it. And those are for personality disorders that immediately jump to my mind. Now,
Yeah.
you can respond to that, but I don't want to lose Samantha's question. So did you?
Well, I was going to say that's very relevant. Her parents talked about those same diagnoses when she was a child, along with schizophrenia and
schizophrenia.
things like that. So those were things that were considered about her when she was young also. Kind of a manipulation early on where I had other friends before I met her, and she didn't want me around my other friends, didn't really want me around anyone else. So I was starting to be isolated fairly quickly, which didn't help the mental state I was in at the time. And really, she wanted me around her all the time. And just with me, her whole family was wrapped around her finger, and they were in fear of upsetting Teal. Like, really, she ran that whole family. And that's also, she ran my whole world. And she really, it was Teal's way or the highway. If she didn't get her way, she was going to act out pretty aggressively. Her temper was pretty horrendous. She could go into these huge fits of just kind of extreme crying. And then just, she would accuse her parents of, you don't love me because you're wanting me to clean my room. And I mean, anything that was just normal day life was beneath her from day one. There was quite the superiority complex. And I definitely felt like I was a much less person compared to her. So why would I ever want to fight back with her? Obviously, she knows more than me. And she was just a pro at taking over someone's lives, her family included, just from a very young age. The lingerie in our field with our horse photo.
Yeah. What was going on there?
I found that one when I went to look up the modeling photos, because I don't recall her modeling when we were younger. My parents were mortified when they saw that photo. They're like, when was there a girl in underwear in our yard with a horse?
And her pants are kind of
those are chaps.
Down. They're chaps?
Those are chaps.
Because she's in her underwear.
Chaps?
Yeah. I mean, what would have been the context for that?
So when Teal talks about her modeling days, it was friends taking photos of her, which that one I'm pretty sure was a friend. I mean, her parents took some photos of her up at Tony Grove where they were forest rangers. And I mean, to my Mormon mind, they were risque. To anyone else, they were normal. They were just photos of her in normal clothes up in Tony Grove. But the horse one was one of her many trying to shock you photos. Yeah, like I said, my parents are still dying over that one, but
okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I just didn't want to move on from the modeling. Did she lie about how much modeling she did, or
she lied to the extent of what her modeling was. She claimed to have traveled internationally doing runway shows, that she was scouted outside of a feed store in Cache Valley.
As all top models are.
Yeah, and the one runway show I went to of hers was Cache Valley Mall. I'm pretty sure it was for Maurice's, and all my neighbors were in it also. And it was just like hey, you guys available? Come put the clothes on and walk for the back to school clothes. And
would she lie about a lot of things generally like that? Like, did you always catch her in lies?
Exaggerating?
So I reached out to some of my friends that were around me at the time, and they had one of the kind of funniest, almost telling memories of her. And the three of us were at my house, and Teal was telling us about some international modeling show she had just done. And I was so annoyed with her at the time that I just got up and walked out and went out to our horse barn. And my other friend sat there talking with Teal, and this is Teal's embellishment. She had just done an international runway show, and she's like, but when the show's over, what they do is they'll take you in the back room and rub your whole body down with oil. And she's like, and I mean everywhere, your whole body.
Naked?
Yeah, veil started slipping as we got older. And as I read through my journals, I was a lot more annoyed with her when I was around 14, 15, because you could see how far-fetched all these stories were. And when I started calling her out on it, she would do I'm not going to be your friend. I'm going to fully pull back, I'm going to punish you for calling me out on this. And I'm stubborn. And as I kind of started getting more of a voice, as I got older, I called her out on more of those things, and she was not as happy with me in our friendship. And I think that's kind of why some of the things she later did to me happened almost out of spite. And that's one of the craziest part of my story with her is kind of the spiteful things she did to me after I was kind of taken away from her.
Yeah.
And the accused abuser, I read through one of his interviews, and he talked about how Teal saw how distressed my family was when I started engaging in self-harm when they found out. And she really saw how upsetting it was for them. And he really felt like she was kind of harnessing that when she started engaging in self-harm very publicly. Her self-harm wasn't hidden in any way, where I was in long sleeves, didn't really want anyone to know. School counselor found out from friends. Hers was coming downstairs with bloody arms and saying, look what I did, Mom and Dad. And she saw the power and how much that affected people. And that's where I felt so much guilt for her. I'm like, did I teach her this? Did I have that influence? And it's something she still does to this day, according to followers that are close with her.
So you've seen some of those clips now. Hopefully you found them interesting. I certainly did. We'll go on to see what her parents say about her in the next video, and what Teal says about herself also. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.